Welcome back to another episode of What Are You Made Of with your boy, Mike C-Roc. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate your listenership, your engagement with the What Are You Made Of movement and the Rocket Fuel book. Today, we have Darren Prince with us. He's an international best-selling author of his memoir, Aiming High, and he is a prominent sports and celebrity agent and global advocate for addiction and recovery. Through his agency, Prince Marketing Group, he represents icons such as Magic Johnson, Hulk Hogan, Charlie Sheen, Dennis Rodman, just to name a few. Darren, welcome to the What Are You Made Of show.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, so real quick, before I get into my first question, I always ask, did you have anything to do with Magic Johnson coming to 10X GrowthCon last year? Were you working with him then?
I've been working with them, but I didn't have anything to do with that one. I think that was his foundation.
Okay,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure because I saw him speak last year, so it was pretty good. It was the first time I saw him. So, all right, so let's start the show off like we always do and ask you the question, Darren, what are you made of?
What am I made of? I think the easiest way to put it at this stage of my life, probably I like of myself as this emotionally spiritual tank. And a lot of work to get here, a lot of setbacks, a lot of challenges, obstacles to truly find my inner self for the first time in my life. And that happened on the road of recovery from drug addiction.
I read some of your story, man, and it's really impressive. None of us want to go through those dark times. I had a period of my life when I didn't drink beer until I was 18. And when I went to college, I saw alcohol, I saw women, I thought it was Disney World. Yep. And I lost my purpose. And as soon as you do that, you're off to the races, to the destruction. So how long of a period of time were you dealing with addiction and all that?
24 years from the time I was 14 to 38 and highly functioning for probably 20 years of it.
So you had a period of time where you were like great gaining success, but drinking and partying and stuff while you were doing it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, my downfall were opiates, painkillers, probably the last 10 or 12 years.
Yeah. And how much of your success, like, I don't know how to phrase this the right way, but how much of your success came from those party years that you have now, from the relationships?
Question.
You know what I mean?
It's a great question. I speak all over the country. When I talk to high school kids, I'm always careful how I phrase that because they could look and say, well, wait a minute, this guy was a rock star and, how his life turned out. Yeah. At 24, when I started representing Magic Johnson, who was my first client, I kind of went away from the illegal drugs. I had a lot of physical ailments from working out and stress, everyday type of stress. So sciatica really introduced me to getting Oxycontin, Percocet, Vicodin into it for a long time. We're my best friends. I was a networking machine, a rock star. I'd walk into any room, get on any business call, business meeting. But at a certain point, I don't know when it happened. I always like to put it that was once living to use turned out to using for it. And I completely lost the sense of self. And they became my kryptonite. That buzz wasn't there anymore. That, false sense of, I am that everybody thinks I am, or that imposter syndrome covered up anymore.
Yeah. And so take us back, if you will. You can go back to when you were in diapers or later after that, but anytime in range, like where do you think that you started off on the wrong, down the wrong road? Or I don't like to not take 100% responsibility for my actions, but things lead to things, right? So can you tell us the story?
I don't point fingers at anybody. My upbringing was great, loving mother and father. My dad passed in 2017. He was a business mentor, my closest friend, my sister, everybody supporting me. But for me, it was more, I think, being in special education classes from the time I was 6 years old. So I was either in a very small room, not with my friends, or a very big room, and specifically put in a part of the room, whether it was the last row, a separate table, that really made me feel isolated and less than and not a part of, and bring a lot of anxiety on. And, that ultimately, when I went to sleepaway camp at 14 and had terrible stomach pains one night and the nurse gave me liquid Demerol, I found my superpowers. And back in 1984, it wasn't a controlled substance like it is today. And I chased it every night. For 3 weeks, I lied to the camp counselor. I would heel over in stomach pain because whatever that was made me feel alive. I was talkative. I was popular. I was funny. I was the good-looking one, the buff one. I was able to flirt with girls, do all these things I was never able to do before. And it calmed that noise in my head and just made me feel just as good as everybody else.
Yeah, man, I can feel you. Damn, I can feel you on that one. Because when I got to college, the same thing happened, man. And I was in the sports, played football, went to college to play football. Never had the girls when I was in high school, really. got to college, man,
Yeah,
and mix all that stuff in, and you're chasing other people's agenda basically.
absolutely.
And it's, man, I go, wish I could go back to talk to my 18-year-old self and say, man, just push through this period, and then the women will be chasing you, the quality
Yeah.
women. Now, I'm very fortunate. Luckily, my wife, I've been married almost 19 years.
God
I
bless.
met her, and she redirected my commitments to
Mhm,
where I was, and I'm very fortunate that it ended up, but it doesn't usually end up that way.
mhm.
And so from there, how did you get into sports management and agency and all that?
So I started a baseball card business when I was 14 years old that exploded, called Baseball Card City, changed the name to Prince of Cards. When I was 16, happened to get back into it about 6 months ago as an investor. It's the hottest thing in the world right now. I'm sure you're reading about it everywhere. And I still have the eye for stuff. So my investments are doing unbelievable. And after that, I got into sports and celebrity memorabilia. Through my company, Prince of Cards, we would do autograph signings with Muhammad Ali, Magic Johnson, Pamela Anderson, Chevy Chase. So I established the relationships with them, booking autograph signings. I wound up then starting the agency after that and got mad because my first client. So I already had the relationships. And I said I was off to the races. I'm thinking I'm on top of the world. I was a late bloomer myself, too. Had no interest in girls. I didn't do much partying in high school. My baseball card business was everything. At 16, I was making $200,000 a year. I was a stockbroker for baseball cards. I'd go to the shows on the weekend, buy all the vintage, expensive stuff for guys, tack on a profit. And, I thought, I had the world was in the palm of my hands, and so did everybody else. And like I said, for the first 6 or 7 years with the agency, I was signing new clients, networking machine, going to the biggest events, all the red carpet stuff, Super Bowls, DMA awards, and from the outset, everybody thought Darren Prince had it all. He's got the most beautiful woman and a life and the cars and the houses, and I was miserable. Literally miserable and suicidal towards the end. And I'm divorced, but my ex-wife Simone really was a godsend because she stood by me and she saw the miracle happen and supported me through it all. Even though it
Yeah.
didn't work for us, she saw a life-changing transformation.
So when you were going through all that, red carpets, all that, and then you come home and you were by yourself, like
I
what would
was
go through your
miserable.
head?
I was
Miserable.
miserable. I
Yeah.
felt like I felt like the loser back in grade school and high school. I felt completely unworthy of it. It was a different person. It was my alter ego when I was out and about in public. You'd see me walk in, whether it was with Muhammad Ali or Magic or Smoking Joe Frazier or any of these globally iconic figures that were the biggest stars of stars, and the other huge celebrities. I've been around President Clinton, Michael Jackson would all come over and, pay respect to my guys, and they're being cool with me, and I'm playing it off as if I got my shit together. And I didn't have anything together.
Yeah. Yeah. And then so from there, did you go to law school?
No,
Is that,
I didn't.
so how did you get into like knowing what you were doing when it
I
came to
had no
representing
idea
these
what I was
guys?
doing. That's the best part. My dad and I went on a fly fishing trip. I got a bunch of legal trouble, which got me out of the memorabilia business. I talk about it in my book, where unknowingly I sold a bunch of fake autographs. I was investigated by the FBI. I didn't get charged with mail fraud or anything, but it ruined me financially. And I took my last $3,000 and took my dad to Alaska. It was my favorite thing to do. Fly fishing, and an old school Jewish guy, he didn't want me spending the money. I'm like, you have no choice. We need 4 days away with each other. This place is incredible. And that's where my father motivated me to, when you are dealt with lemons in life, you can make lemonade out of it. And to speak up, and what was my plan of action? What was the next thing I was going to do? And I said, Dad, I don't have 8 years to go to law school, but I want to be an agent. And he goes, agent, life is about who you know, not what you know, because you're like family to Muhammad Ali and Lonnie, his wife, and Magic and Chevy and Joe Montana, and all these iconic people. There's not an entertainment lawyer in the world that wouldn't kill to be in your position. Go speak to Magic. He supported you through everything that you just dealt with, and ask him, because he's the one you're probably closest with. He's the biggest name. He's the most marketable. And 3 weeks later, I had the opportunity to be alone with him in Michigan before an appearance. And it's almost like this spiritual awakening before I knew about one. He was by himself and he never traveled alone, and invited me into his hotel suite and caught up on life and said, hey man, how you doing financial? I'm like, it's rough. I'm coming out of it, but I have an idea for something. I goes, yeah, sit down, let's talk. and always so engaging. And when I told him, he was like, man, you need a big client though. If you're going to start an agency, you got anybody in mind? And I was so nervous, but I got up the courage to say, yeah, I call him Irvin by his real name. I was like, Irvin, I'm hoping it would be you. And he kind of rubbed his face and said, I love you and your family. You're a good dude. You made a mistake. I know all about making mistakes. I'm going to give you 2 years to represent me. But if you don't use me to knock down every door to bring all the celebrities you can to your agency, I'm going to fire you, because life is about not how successful I can become, Darren. It's how successful I can make you and everybody else around me. That's a domino effect. I never heard
Wow.
words like that from anybody in my life. And I'm like, he's literally sitting here telling me I can exploit him to build my business. And he knew that it was all about different revenue streams and different relationships and no ego. And, if he was able to get me clients, that at somewhere, some way, somehow, those would always come back. And those new clients would bring in other opportunities that could benefit him and me and everybody else. And here we are 26 years later.
Damn,
It's
dude.
been a heck of a run.
You know what's crazy about that is anytime I buy something from someone, I have a mortgage division I run, a large mortgage division, and the other businesses that I run. Any vendors that I use for anything or for training, anything that I pay money for, I always tell the person I'm paying, now it's time for me to make you look good. I always
Yeah,
say that, and that hits that, man. That's like freaking so awesome, man.
I love
Because
that.
it's
I
it's
love
not
that.
the responsibility always of the person that you're giving the money to. Like
No,
you gotta do something with it, man. And that's just
absolutely.
phenomenal, man. I love it.
Yep.
So I heard from about you through Holly Saunders. I think that's where I saw you the first time, and I said, you know what? Let me just reach out to Darren and see what the hell's up. I want to find out what he's
Great.
made
We've
of.
been together for about 4 months now, crushing it. She's awesome. She was another blessing in my life that came through. Dan Fleischman. She reached out to him and just said, "Look, I need a new agent. Not that I don't like my people, but they're not aggressive enough. And who do you know?" And gave her two names and said, "I literally just worked with Darren Prince and Magic and Dennis Rodman. 6 months ago. There's nobody better." And we've been crushing it, and so proud of her and everything she's doing. And became this powerhouse business mogul, influencer model, and we have a lot of great projects that we're announcing that are coming up. Some pretty big endorsements.
Yeah, no. From my point of view, I can see the difference. Like I could see some kind of thing going on.
Yep.
Just because I'm an Instagram guy. Like I'm on there as well, and I don't like really pay attention too much to people, but like I'm a golfer guy, so
There you
I
go.
knew her from golf,
Okay.
and I just followed, and I noticed a difference, man. So great job there. So
Thank you.
after you got sober, what was the biggest thing you had to try to figure out uh, how to still be successful and where like using your personality and your attributes that weren't there anymore?
It took a while. Like my sponsor used to say I was an exposed nerve, and dealing with stresses, and whether it's stuff with Rodman or, Hulk went through a bunch of things, and Ric Flair, and, just trying to deal with schedules getting screwed up or bad weather and trying to reschedule. I mean, all these little things. It was like the first 6 months really shook me. But, the closer I stayed to my 12-step fellowship, we're around these spiritual brothers and sisters. They showed me how to live life on life's terms without thinking about going backwards and God forbid of a relapse. And then working on those 12 steps and clearing out whatever that wreckage of my past was, and just get in touch with the real me. Slowly but surely, a year became 2 years, 2 years became 3 years. And I just, molded myself into the real me between God and my higher power and these spiritual brothers and sisters. I knew I can do this. And even to this day, if I have to go to events, obviously there's not much because of the pandemic. I like go for an hour or two. I'm not that important that if I leave one of my clients or celebrities that people aren't going to miss Darren Prince. They didn't give up the right for chemical relief. I had to on July 2nd, 2008, because I was going to. And I go for an hour or two. I always say nothing good happens if you're out after 10 o'clock at night. I show my face and I get home, and I'm good with it. And now, just to feel so comfortable in my own skin from the inside, it's just a feeling that's unbelievable. It's why I love and am completely obsessed with the world of recovery and getting this message out there, because hope and recovery exists. And, we don't get addicted to the beer or the opiates or the cocaine or the marijuana. We get addicted to the escape. People don't realize that. You're not getting addicted to the substance. It's that feeling of that escape of reality. And then once you realize what was causing you to need that escape and be accountable, and don't point the fingers at anybody else in your life. You point at yourself, and you start working through that. The greatest feeling in the world. The best thing for me, though, still is giving back. I had a mind blowing experience at Oaks Recovery last Friday. I went out there and spoke to about 250 people, and my foundation, Aiming High Foundation, we donated a bunch of money in scholarship, 5 people that were flown in from all over the country. I mean, if you could imagine the look on these people's eyes that are fathers with children that had nowhere to turn but because of my foundation, those are those moments that makes me realize that I found self-esteem by doing esteemable acts. And that's what makes me comfortable doing anything I can do. I found my purpose.
I love it, man. Look, man, we're here for a purpose. We're put on this planet for a purpose. And as long as we're still doing our purpose, we stay on this planet. That's the bottom line. So now, did you notice now, not that the people like Magic and all those people were bad people at all, but did you notice the quality of people coming into your life change once you got sober?
Absolutely. Well, we always say people, places, and things. Everybody hears that about recovery, and it's the truth. You just have to watch the people you hang out with, the places you go, and the things that you do. And it doesn't mean that party buddies I don't keep in touch with, at all. We still keep in touch. They're so super proud of my jersey. I left New Jersey when I was 47. I've been in Cali now for about 3 years, 3.5 years, and again, they didn't have a problem. Doesn't mean we don't have great memories, and I don't see them and play golf or do lunch or dinner when I get back to New Jersey, but just different. I just have a different, very peaceful, very structured life that, I don't like breaking away from that routine. I'm a very big routine guy now.
Yeah. I love it, man. I'm so happy for you. I know it's been 12 years, but I'm rooting for you to go another 12, 36, whatever, 50 years, 100 years.
One day at a time. I'm definitely going to be going to bed sober tonight, and that's what it's about, one day at a time.
Yeah, I'm rooting for you, brother, man. And so for your success that you've had, though, what are some keys to your success that you've already mentioned some relationship equity in relationships and leveraging relationships, but giving back to them as well. But what are some other things that you could say that really made your success to where you are today, and then where you're also going?
Yeah, well, aside from relationship building, understand that it's trial and error. You're going to make mistakes, but the way to save on making those mistakes is look at people that are already where you want to get to. Look at somebody that has the success that you're trying to emulate. And if it's a celebrity or a business mogul, reach out to them. I tell people all the time, Facebook, Instagram, send a message. Most people that attain that type of success, they will be willing to speak to you or shoot you a message back, because you learn from your years of mistakes, which will help you mentally and emotionally, and then financially. And I've always surrounded myself with people more successful than myself, more talented than me, with no ego, just because I need to gravitate toward as great as we are what we do. And people can call me super agent, this and that. There's so much more to learn. In my industry, you don't become a super agent unless you have the super clients. My ego is put in check. These guys have all, and women, I've got Carmen Electra, Holly, Denise Richards. They're wonderful. They've all done what they've done long before Darren Prince came into their life. So I just happen to come in and be a great negotiator, have incredible corporate connections, and my relationship building has been key over 25, 26 years. Most people that ever tell you about me will say, I'm the guy that reaches out on the birthdays, the holidays. If I see something on social media, something's up, I'll shoot somebody a text message, make sure they're okay. 90% of my calls, brother, this day, I spoke to Holt 2 weeks ago for 30 minutes. 28 minutes might have been about life. 90% of the call is just about life, because we know we always have the ability to make a lot of money with each other, but they truly become family. Really do.
Yeah. I love it, man. Well, man, this is, I got to ask you this though, being around bigger people, bigger celebrities, or people with higher lids than you and I, for example, in their area. I work with a guy named Richie Dolan, who works with the NBA, Lakers and Heat. And I hired him to coach me, and he did an assessment of me. And he said, your assessment was kind of low on mastery, understanding mastery and identifying mastery in finance and performance. And I did it on purpose, because I wrote it down this way, because I'm hanging out with some people that have way higher lids than me on purpose, just like you said. And it makes you feel sometimes not inadequate, but that you don't necessarily, I guess I'm comparing it to what their mastery is compared to where I am, instead of the people that I would hang out with normally. And so that's why I wrote it that way. Do you feel that way sometimes where or did you in the past where you felt like you're probably there, but you just don't feel like it because of being in the bigger rooms?
It's interesting. When I was using yes, now I know I'm every bit worthy of being in the room with no matter who it is. I was emailing with Mark Cuban, a few days ago. Jeannie Buss and I, the Lakers owner, had to call for 20 minutes about life. When I go to the Laker game, I'm treated by the Laker organization just as if one of my celebrities. I'll be sitting courtside. I don't even need a celebrity with me. And I know I've arrived. I know I put the work in. I know that I get more respect and accolades now, not because of the business, but because of this personal journey that I've been on. I'm lucky to touch the world every single day. And I talk about it all the time. When I'm gone, my legacy's got nothing to do with the age in life. It doesn't. I don't care about that. It's given me incredible blessings and relationships with one of the most motivating, inspiring people over the past 50 years. I want to go down as somebody that was beaten to his knees from drug addiction and rose back on his feet and sprinkled this all over the world to help save a life one day at a time. I mean, that's what matters to me the most. And I've realized after the book came out and the testimonials that I got, Magic wrote the forward, Jeannie and Mark gave me quotes for the back, Hulk, Dennis, Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank, Chris Herron, who, in my opinion, is the greatest to ever do it in recovery, from Herron Wellness, is my spiritual brother. That showed me that this gave me more respect from this journey in dealing with adversity than anything I've ever accomplished. And I knew I arrived. I knew I arrived. You can put me in the room with whoever it is. I was invited to the White House 3 times when President Trump was there, and literally right in the Oval Office, talking about how I'm going to go into high schools and colleges and speak to kids and young adults about this opiate epidemic. And I felt every bit worthy of being there. I think I put in the damn work, and I brought God and my higher power into my life. And I'm psychotically obsessed with recovery, this way to other people. But like I said, that self-esteem helped by doing esteemable acts. So for me, I never have that ability anymore. I actually get excited if I'm in a room and, Gary Vee's my boy, like all these guys, Scooter Braun, Jay Shetty, Lewis Howes, they're all my boys. And, Jay called me about a month ago to thank me for something I got him. And we're on the phone for 45 minutes and he's taking stuff in that I'm saying spiritually. And, I get that with everybody because, again, I put in the work. I have a different mindset about life now. And I think when you give back like that, the business comes, different expressions. The same as my athletes took a part of every other athletes that came before them. I like to say life is about now of saying what you mean, meaning what you say, and not saying it. And I tell that to people, no matter how much money you have, no matter what type of fame you have. I was on a plane with Magic one time because, man, you got to text me that one again because that is so good. Or try to understand people instead of being understood. So you don't have to have an emotional hangover, open up your big fat mouth, or restrain a pen and tongue. I learned all these little techniques. And I said to me, it's not about the agency game. I've arrived from the world of, recovery and wellness. And it earned quite a bit of respect from a lot of prominent people. And I didn't do it for that. I did it for me. I wrote the book as a form of therapy to help further my journey and to help other people. I think when you go with your passion, and you believe in your heart and your mind and your soul that you're doing something right, even though there's a lot of people that were hesitant with me coming out about it. Look where life is for me right now. But the best business year we've ever had through a pandemic. This year it's starting off even better. The recovery is, through the roof. My personal brand with what I'm able to do Zoom speeches, in-person speeches for Banyan Treatment Center. Well, I'm a rep for. I've been to their properties in the past 4 months. Just amazing. I mean, like I said, you haven't heard me say one thing about a business deal that made me feel worthy.
That's what it's all about, brother. And I've been on this journey that I've been on for about 2 years now. And some of the people that I'm getting to hang around with still blows me away. And I'm just like, man, why didn't I start this sooner? You know, it's just like, I could have did this. I didn't
Energetically,
believe.
bro. I could see it. I could feel when I'm interviewing you. You've got that purity about you. You've got that authenticity about you. You know, you've found comfortability in your own skin. You have an amazing wife in your life that had you make that own personal turn too. I don't know if you have kids, but you know, it's yeah. God bless. You know, that's you could feel. I mean, you could just see you're real. You're authentic. And that in itself, you know, people want to gravitate towards that as we get older. You know that. How many
Yeah.
people full
Yeah.
of crap do we deal with that are
Yeah. I don't feel like,
all yes people, or I'll do this for you, I'll do that for you, but everybody's got a motive. Anybody has an end game. And I could, you know, look, if I bumped into you at an event, I guarantee we'd be exchanging numbers and, you know,
Mhm.
chatting and keeping in touch because I could feel it right for the podcast.
Yeah, man. Thank you for that. That means a lot. And I just wrapped up my book. It's coming out in March. I'm having a release party in South Beach right before GrowthCon, March 11th. And
Amazing.
I'm fired up about that. Who would have ever thought I'd have a book launch party in South Beach as a kid? Grew up outside of Philly, just an ordinary guy. You know, it's weird. But so before we get to the last question of what rocket fuel means to you, I want to let you know, first of all, that if you ever need somebody to speak to anyone in your foundation, whatever, like all you got to do, hit me a message. Like I'll clear my schedule to be there to support you any way I can, man.
Thanks, bro.
Just so you know. And so the final question before I do that, what's the best way for people to follow you or engage with you? Instagram?
Instagram is at agent_DP. I'm on Facebook, Darren Prince in Los Angeles, California. And then there's a couple websites, official Darren Prince. Business is princemarketinggroup.com. But the one, if people are listening, that could really help my 501c3 is the aiminghighfoundation.org. And I just want to keep using those resources for people that can't afford it.
Yeah, I'm going to contribute to that, bud, as soon as we hang up here. So I'll be on top of that. And also, guys, go get the book, Aiming High by Darren Prince. Darren, final question. What does the rocket fuel concept, I call it a law now, just like John Maxwell's leadership laws, because if you implement the stuff that I talk about to prepare proactively for setbacks, you become unstoppable. What does converting setbacks into rocket fuel mean to you and what it's meant to you in your life?
You know, I think you have to learn to love losing. You got to learn to take those L's. You know, those L's are everything. It can't just be about winning because I don't learn anything about myself when life is going great. I actually enjoy it now. I embrace it when I have an off day or an off week. That's when that rocket fuel comes in. You know, adversity introduces us to our true selves. So those setbacks, as my good friend Joel Osteen says, are actually setups. And so many people get stuck in their own head in that moment. It's just, oh, this is the worst. This is catastrophic. This is a night. No, none of it is. The bottom line is, you know, most of them are luxury problems if you know how to change your perception and your perspective on whatever it is that you're going through. The greatest setbacks in my life have all been setups to put me in this position I'm in today at 51 years old. I wouldn't change a freaking thing. I already went back and spoke to my 18-year-old self. I'm big on NLP. My boy John Alvino gave me 8 life-changing sessions. He studied with Tony Robbins, Yoda, and a bunch of other people huge in that world. And you know, I had that talk. It was the most healing, incredible, beautiful experience I've ever been through. To say everything's going to work out the exact way it was meant to work out. And it was almost like I felt like this eruption, you know, when I woke up out of the subconscious trance and rocket fuel. You know, you got to clear out that past. You got to understand that, embrace the tough times, learn from the losses, enjoy the L's, enjoy the losses, because that just means you're right around the corner from a victory.
I love it. You couldn't have said it better, man. And you're living when you have good and bad. It doesn't matter. You're living, man.
Yep.
Darren, thank you so much for joining us today, man. Like I said, anything you need, I'm available. I'll DM you my phone number.
Perfect.
And let's just get after it, brother. Let's get after it, man. All right.
I appreciate the time.
you guys. You guys have been listening to the What Are You Made Of podcast
Thanks,
with your boy, Mike C-Roc. Until next time, guys, be unstoppable.